Joe. He is a gig worker trying to make money using his car. He uses multiple gig apps all at the same time to maximize his earnings. But this can be difficult and dangerous while driving. Sometimes the requests come in so fast, Joe can't pick and choose the best trips to take, which can result in lower pay or lower rated disruptive passengers. That was until Joe found Maximo, the automation app that helps gig workers accept and decline trip requests. Maximo will use the filters set by Joe, like time, distance, and rating, to determine which trips are best suited for Joe. When a trip request comes in, Joe doesn't need to worry. Maximo will compare the trip details to Joe's filters and then determine if it should automatically accept the trip, decline the trip, or allow Joe to decide by showing the per mile and per minute rates. When a trip has been accepted, Maximo will turn off the other apps that aren't on a trip. Once Joe finishes a trip, Maximo will turn everything back on. This will allow Joe to reduce his stress and frustration, drive safe, and focus on the important tasks. Check out Maximo at www.maximoapp.com.
Welcome, everybody, to the Thursday Roundtable. Sorry that we're a couple minutes late. I was waiting for Gary, and it's actually my fault. He texted me back and said that he had sent me a message this morning. I guess I didn't see it. That his son is actually getting sworn into the Navy. Is that a thing?
Okay,
yeah.
Congratulations!
It's actually
awesome.
happening tonight, though. Awesome. So
nice.
I don't know if that means how soon he leaves or what, but
Steve, before you start, I'm fascinated with that new commercial for Maximo, and I am interested if Gary can ever dress like Joe. Like Joe has like a green scarf. He has this red and I think red and blue. I don't know if it's a cardigan or that's some kind of sweater with some slacks. I think that would be a nice fit for Gary to wear. So just pass it along if you see Gary. I'll talk to Gary.
I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of people on a lot of social platforms before Gary started doing a lot of lives with us and all this stuff, they didn't know there was a Gary Middleton. I'm not kidding. A lot of people who use the app literally thought there was a Joe Middleton. Well, no, because he was Joe. Instagram. He was Joe on Twitter. He was Joe on other socials.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
He didn't want people knowing his name at the time. He wasn't quite sure about handling this, so he was Joe to everybody. So everybody's like, I don't know who this Gary guy is, but who's? I just know Joe. And eventually it came out where it was like, Gary was like, "There's no Joe. That's me.
That's me."
So he had the whole opportunity to do the whole Kaiser Sose, and he
the funny thing is, though, he says Joe in that video.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
which is his alter ego.
His alter ego.
It could be his superhero.
Yeah,
his alter.
Kind of a superhero.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So okay. I just
everybody call Gary Joe from now on.
But that's what his Instagram says. So
and he has a brother named Joe. I was like, which I thought was even funnier. Like, oh, you don't want to take the risks of social media, so you're throwing your brother under the bus.
But aren't you the guy? But no, I don't know what guy.
Funny.
But yeah, so we have our panel here today. We got right above me, we got John Dash Theory TV, we got Kim's Side Money Plans. Yeah, we got Hannibal's Hungry. How you guys all doing?
Doing good.
So far, so good.
So, so I feel like I haven't communicated with the chat much this year, and at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you guys about a couple topics for next week because they're good ones, and we're going to jump in. But this week, if you have any questions or whatever or comments about 2023, please throw them out. I'm going to be all over the chat, or try to be tonight, looking. And Gary had a positive story he sent to me, but I didn't bring it in. Actually, I think it was Donna, his wife, who found it. But I still think anytime we find a positive, because he sent it to me, is look, a positive story. It's like finding a rare something. Like, hey, look,
it's like striking gold.
It's like the 4-leaf clover or something. I don't know. It's like, hey, look, there's a positive story. Like, so I really was kind of looking forward to that. I don't have it in front of me. But I want to talk about just our 2023 gig work side hustles. I know Hannibal even posted his Rover earnings, which were great last year. You know, I mean, like when I see that, I think that it, I don't know. I think that we need to talk about some of these other options too. And I know Kim was talking about all, you know, it's onboard time. And I was saying that all last year, like she's, you know, dusting off all these. I even saw she was dusting off Instacart. But
Yeah.
hopefully her and I can go at them because
Oh,
somebody said, I saw a comment. It wasn't on yours, Kim. Somebody said that I said something about like, yeah, Kim, or you're doing it. Maybe I can do it. Maybe we can make $100 in a day between us. And somebody we know replied and said, the day that Kim and Steve do Instacart is the day hell freezes over. And I thought,
well, Josh thought I was kidnapped, so it's all good.
yeah, I mean, but I mean that is what it is, and that's what we were all talking about at the end of last year. Is, you know, onboard to new apps and it's not like the window's closed, but I think we all know it's going to get harder.
Yeah.
I mean, they're even going to onboard a little tighter. So I mean, it is that time.
Yeah.
It is, and if you are on apps, dust them off, like Kim was saying, and all this. And I just kind of want to go through what everybody's been up to because I had a killer day this week, been a killer week, but I had the best day I've had maybe in a year. I might not have had this good of a day all of last year. I know I can say the last 6 months or till like midsummer, but I was trying to think if in May or something I had a curry. I've had a couple offers that would have put me over, but I don't know. This is probably the last year, and this is the second week in January. So, and a couple of
start to the year.
Things, yeah. But John, you did have one story. You did send something about Spark. Do you want to?
Oh yeah, I kind of talk about that. This kind of goes into, I think, the right topic. We're talking about onboarding and growing, and so I'll kind of talk about what I'm looking at this year. Then I kind of roll into that. So obviously, I've been doing Spark a lot lately, but the big thing for this year is kind of dusting off some of those old apps. So Point Pickup is one of them because I know that they do Walmart orders. So that's one of the apps I'm dusting off. Another thing I'm looking at is actually some things that Hannibal talked about on his channel. Number one, luggage delivery. I live in Phoenix. Phoenix is a big hub of a city. A lot of travel comes through here. So just from like a volume perspective, I see there being some opportunity with delivering lost luggage. And then the third thing is you guys saw my pup last week, pre-stream, but, kind of considering Rover. So going to watch some of Hannibal's videos about that. So with kind of what we talked about last week, the 100,000 new gig workers, they're going to be flooding to the main apps, the DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Lyft. So dusting off those old apps I think is going to be key to winning in the gig economy this year and basically having a bigger gig portfolio than all the other new gig drivers that are saturating a lot of the major platforms. Now, with the story that I kind of brought up with Spark has this Go Local initiative program where basically, in addition to, I think you've seen on Spark, the Auto Nation or Auto Advanced Auto Parts and the Home Depot deliveries. This Go Local, from what I understand, is delivering for more local businesses or small businesses. So those kind of non-Walmart deliveries, that segment of Spark seems to be growing. And so two things. Number one, if you're already on Spark and you're not getting round robins, then, that might be kind of when they dash, you dodge. Go check out if those are actually worth taking. I personally haven't taken any Advanced Auto Parts or, Home Depots yet, but I'm interested to see if they come back around again. But the other thing with that Go Local, the Spark initiative is business to business and business to customers. And so that business to business sector, that could be interesting because I think kind of some of the other last mile delivery services, there's only a couple that do that. I think you do Courier, and I think from what I understand, that's a lot of business to business there. So that's the other thing that was kind of in the back of my head is Walmart trying to go into that section and kind of encroach on that territory. So that's the big thing from the article that I took away from it.
So one of the things that you were just talking about that hits to me is that I think first of all, I think last mile delivery space is going to be hot. I said that it's going to be hot all year. That's one that's not going away unless all construction and stuff is stopped in your area, which I don't think it's ever happening. Every city's always growing. So it's just, I mean, it's just becoming more and more and more of a need. Hannibal and I even did an episode on this for Beyond the Algorithm, and we brought up a bunch that some of them that we haven't even worked, but they're out there and you can work them and they do the same type things. But it wouldn't shock me if they are, because another thing that happened that I do want to get into next week is that this AB5 stuff resurfacing to California truck drivers. I mean, this is a huge, huge, huge problem. It's 70,000 truck drivers that can't work now. And so far this week, it happened a week ago, but so far this week, there has been no exemption at all. They're not like bending the rules, because I don't know if to not get too far into it, you guys, AB5 happened. It killed off all businesses, all people that owned their own businesses, freelancers, all this stuff, musicians, translators, nonprofits, everything. But then Prop 22 was the carve out for the gig economy. So AB5 didn't really, that's not really so much the story there, because they got the carve out right away. But the truckers have kind of been on this, well, you're fine because of the pandemic thing that was just kind of like a handshake agreement. I mean, there was some terms written out and they have to be renewed every 6 months. But in October, they said no more renewals. January 1st, you are employed or you cannot come to the ports in California.
Wow.
And so 70,000 truckers that now can no longer go there to get stuff. It will affect the supply chain. It will
supply chain nightmare.
And that applies to all people who were independent coming into California and taking routes, which at first that wasn't going to be the case, but they knew what a storm that would cause if they were letting people from Nevada come and work the ports independently, but California drivers couldn't. So they've had to straight up say no independent drivers. And if you're not familiar, the truck driver world is it's a little upside down right now with not having enough people, even if things were smooth. Now let's mention a recession that we're in, and let's mention that the whole state of California is flooded in a bad way too. Like, I mean, like real bad. Like last Friday, we were doing the radio show, and Gary and I were talking about. I've been to Santa Cruz many times. It's a big surfer hangout in Half Moon Bay. Well, it's the main place in California that surfers get attacked or eaten by sharks is in Half Moon Bay. So the water's up. Last Friday, the water was up to about the windows on a car coming into town off the beach. So, I mean, if it gets up to the top of the car, I mean, literally, you could see a great white in downtown Santa Cruz.
Sharknado type situation.
It is.
Right, well, not like a tornado spinning. But that's very potentially dangerous. That's kind of crazy. As you're talking about some of the things that are, because as we all know, January is pretty slow with certain apps. I think we've all been through that, but I know the CPI numbers came out, Consumer Price Index numbers came out, and they're not too good. I mean, energy is still expensive, food, all the things that we need, housing is still kind of crazy. Inflation is falling, but the economy, and I guess how we feel about the economy, us consumers, we're still worrying about being laid off. I mean, obviously there's still tons of layoffs happening in the tech sector. All the any company that you have, some tech company, they're laying off people. You can name them, Google, whatever. They're all laying off people. So we still have a negative, I guess, view on the next 12 months. If you guys are interested, there's a really good YouTube channel, Clear, like no frills. I don't think he does any editing. Clear Value Tax. He's a cool dude. He just says exactly what's going on. It's not much of a trying to sell you or throwing a bunch of affiliate links all over the place. Really explains a lot what's going on in the economy in a really easy to understand way. Clear Value Tax. He has 1.6 million subs, so he's pretty good at what he's doing. But you definitely, as a gig worker, you gotta have to have some idea of what's going on in the economy, because it affects you directly. I mean, it affects all of us, but really directly when you're looking at things are expensive. Eggs are expensive, right? Like the very simple products that we use every day are still a little bit too expensive. And then on top of it, if you're worried about losing your job, as many people are, they're polling, I forgot the numbers, but people are worried about, am I going to be laid off in 12 months? That affects, when we're turning on those apps and we're not getting any gigs. I mean, it's a really big deal.
Yeah, it is. I think there's a lot. I mean, I think that we all we talked about this beforehand in case people were new to the gig economy or even somewhat new and had never been through a full cycle year, that January is just slow, almost every market. But I think this January is different because there's model changes, there's legislative changes. Believe it or not, guys, next week, let me make sure that I got the thumbs up from Jimmy on this, but okay. Next week, we will be talking into at least one of the reasons that hourly pay on DoorDash exists, and it's not going to make you guys happy. It's more of a test. Let me just put it that way.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Right. And we'll get into the details, but it's more of a test to see what the hourly wage could be nationwide. So don't be part of the test. I mean, you guys can obviously do what you want, but if you're looking for any advice here, please don't be part of the test. You're not going to make any more than you would just working, and you shouldn't be helping.
I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Yeah.
So is that next Thursday, Steve?
Yeah. Jimmy and I next Wednesday, what is it, the 18th? Wednesday, the 18th, we're doing 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're doing what is Paraworks and how does it work? The real basics. After that, I'll be free, which is the next day, to talk about this stuff. But him and I talked about it in detail already. It's scary stuff, you guys. These companies are trying to get ahead of some legislation. In some places, they're behind. And believe it or not, we're still paying for Prop 22. All of us who live in California or not, we're still subsidizing that. And yes, I've never straight out come out and said that, but I am now. We are subsidizing Prop 22, all states, for DoorDash, and we're going to be subsidizing others too. So it's not just going to be blame on California anymore. There's other states now we're going to be subsidizing too. And then there's other things going on. So they're trying to get ahead of it with this hour thing. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to be honest here. From what I gathered so far, you'd be much better off just going out for an hourly job if that's the option you'd like. And it's not just because in my opinion, you wouldn't want to be an employee of this company, although that is my view. I wouldn't want to be. If I'd be an employee, it would be elsewhere. That's not what I want, and I will stay an independent contractor because I do other things. But if I had to be, it would not be for DoorDash or Uber. Not a chance. I have a lot better. And I put this challenge out there last year, which I'll continue this year too, is that every month, maybe we haven't said this in a while, every month, send out your resume to a $100,000 plus a year job, or a job that you really want to be in this field, but you just know there's no chance because you tried before and without the right schooling or this or that, you've always gotten shot down. I challenge each of you to apply for those jobs, because if you actually want something like that, I think you have the best chance ever in history right now to get it. I'm just saying, like, if graphic artists, if graphic arts is your thing, but you can't even get in the entry level, I would think you could get in the entry level right now by showing interest with a cover letter.
Yeah.
Because places are willing to train. I'm not a big fan of the W-2 model. In fact, I think it's not only having issues, I think it's being changed just like just like with legislation and how these gig apps are going to work. I think that it's being changed with the gig apps, because even if they change, there's going to have to be a meet in the middle.
Well, I think there's a big part of the gig apps that's causing them to change, because before, I think historically, there's never been really another option or as many options as there are now for 1099 income, whether it be a gig app, whether it be, other side hustles, content, or even just running your own business online, whether it be Shopify, Etsy. There's just never been as much competition with W-2 as there is now. And I don't think that's a trend that's going to stop in the short term. I think that's a long-term thing. So I think the W-2 world's going to have to, step up their game, especially if they're serious companies that plan to be around the long run.
And like we talked about, was it last week, John? I think, because it was last week about, people don't have that same old, I'm going to live and die at General Motors.
No.
Nobody's going in for their first W-2 out of college or high school or whatever, taking the job, and they're there with pride too. I'm going to say with pride through their career. There's no pride anymore. You're taking a W-2 job for a certain amount of time, and then you're going to have to move to other W-2s. W-2s are not a safety net anymore.
It seemed like that's where it stopped. It seemed like it stopped at my parents. Like my father, he spent.
You calling me old?
30. Not you. You jumped around, Steve. My father, he worked at the Department of Sanitation for like 30 some years. Like that was it. And I feel like city jobs may still have that effect in terms of, being a cop or a fireman or maybe a teacher.
Yeah.
But even as a teacher, you probably shouldn't stay in one spot because you could probably get paid doing something in another school. So even certain positions that were mainstays, the numbers back you up. You should not stay in one W-2 for too long. You're going to eventually get underpaid, and they're not going to want to pay you. So you need to go somewhere else and keep moving. I guess that's how the system works now. At least as labor, or at least as an employee, you want to leverage your advantage of trying to get as much money as possible. So you don't want to stay too long at one employer.
Yeah, if you're trying to climb, I think I said this last week, but if you're trying to climb the corporate ladder and you're really trying to advance yourself, at the W-2 world, that's the only way, like that's the mentality you have to have in order to promote yourself to a better position, to more money. Like that's how you become a better person with the career that you have for yourself. So there is no longevity. I think you can have pride. Like I know me, I personally always had pride where I went and I gave it my all. It was just a matter of, okay, this isn't my forever home, but how do I make a stamp and make an impression while I'm here and get the most out of the job that I currently have? And I think we just lost Steve.
I think he rearranged.
Steve. Oh, Steve's out. Wait, he's come. No, now he's officially out. Oh.
But going back to these app companies though, real quick, like I think a lot of them are fighting for their market share. Like how do they, like I feel like they're always competing with each other, and they're really fighting for their own market share of their piece of the puzzle.
There's so many apps now. There's so many. Not just, the stuff that, obviously me and Steve talk about, what you guys talk about. When you go down the YouTube rabbit hole, there's so many that I didn't even think of, not necessarily apps, but services. So many companies looking for courier work, whether you're using your car, even you decide to get a van, you really want to take this and make it to your own business. I think as for independent contractor work, I think a good change that we all should try to strive for is trying to find your way to separate yourself from everyone else, develop your own business, if that kind of makes sense. Obviously, you're using the apps, but I feel like if you can do what Steve done with Dumpling, I'm sure it can be done with other apps where you can kind of go to local businesses and say, hey, I can take care of this job for you once a week, or whatever it is that you're delivering, whatever that you are looking to do, and to get yourself away from the company have to find a random person to come in and do their work. 1 minute they have a great employee, then they try it again. It's not, it's a bad experience, because that's similar for food delivery. Last week I had some really bad experiences ordering food or ordering groceries. 1 minute they come, either the person's not communicating with me properly. Mostly that's it. They're not communicating properly. Coming with something that
for too much ketchup, Hannibal.
No, I just said, what happened was my son had a birthday. We had to order some cupcakes for the party. So we I think it was not Corner Shop anymore, Uber Eats. We ordered the cupcakes. The person is not calling to tell me that they were out of cupcakes. He comes back with one case when I asked for 4. I said, "Where's the rest?" He's like, "Oh, that's all they had." I was like, "That's great." That now my son have no cupcakes. So that's not enough. I can't. So 27 kids. I can't give one case of cupcakes to like. And then we tried it again with Instacart. That fell through. They weren't communicating either. So Dumpling, great example. You want to get one person that can, if I can find one person that can do this all the time, I would never have to call anybody else. I think that's what we need to do. Find a way to brand ourselves with certain merchants and certain customers, so we can not always have to deal with randomness, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you could have just, if I was your shopper, you could have just called me and said, "Hey, Steve, make sure you get 48. I got 48 kids." And that way I could have got there and said, "Oh, they only have 24. What you're looking for?" I could have texted or
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
or sent pictures and
Yeah,
said,
simple
"Hey,
stuff.
Hannibal, they got these. Is this going to work instead? Because they don't have 48 of what you're looking for."
Yeah.
Or I'm assuming, Steve, and you know this better. Can you go to another store with dumplings? Say like he
Oh,
hired
yeah.
you,
You
but
can
you
go to
say,
every
"Hey, 24 here," but you're like, you know what? I'll go down the street to like the next shop and I'll get you 24 from the other shop. Like it's
Yeah, I
more
could
of a
go do his
personalized.
I could go do his groceries. I could do, a butcher shop. I could do a bakery. I could do, I mean, I could hit all of them. And the cool thing is that's where your minimum kicks in. So if I'm going to 3, 4 locations, I do 15% of grocery total with a minimum $20. But like Holly does, her, and there's Holly right there, does 20%. See, there's a threshold that they say to play
Holly.
with a little bit. That's not to go over 25 total. So when you suggest a tip and what you're going to take off, so I changed it after last week a little bit. I took my 15%. I was going to change it to 20, but I said no. So I've kept it at 15 because my tips have been going up so much. And I did move my default 8% tip to 10. So that kept me at 25 because when you go over and save it, the dumpling app doesn't say you can't, but it says, "Hey, just be aware you've gone over 25%. That's all they say. They don't say warning. They don't say it's bad. They just say,
Just be aware.
"Hey." And that's because that's a threshold number that the Dumpling University has found to be, you're going to make more money if you can keep it 25%, even on what you're suggesting, than if you're asking for more. But I
Yeah.
guess this will be a test. We'll have to see.
Hold on, Steve. I would like to answer a question. A question in the comment section from Holly. Appreciate you. Shout out to Holly. Awesome human being. That's my wife's fault. She didn't order it, and then it got to the last
Blame
minute.
your wife.
That's how you do it, guys. She waited, and then we had to order it, and it was the last minute, and it was actually towards the end of the day, and then she got really mad at the Uber Eats guy, and I had to tell her to calm down. It was a whole thing. But yes, we should have planned ahead. But that's the situation I have. But he had a great birthday party, ate a lot of food. He had a fantastic time, so he was good.
So, Kim, what about you so far in this? Because you're always your market's killer. I watched your live last night. What's up with you and the gigs right now? Because I know that you work them the same every day, and I know you make pretty close to this. You hustle the same amount. You always have your earnings. They're Januaried out, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, just like I'm in my area is no different from everybody else, but I think this is now my third January I've gone through as even a full-time gig worker. So I already knew what to expect going into this month. So it's not like any big surprise, but I knew going into January that I'm going to be using apps. And that's why, I always say I have like 5 main apps that I constantly like cycle through and give me income every week. But I have like 10 altogether. And, I'm joking, but not really. Like I'm dusting off a lot of these apps that I still have. And, that's kind of my words of wisdom going into January. Use whatever you have in your arsenal to offset the January slowdown. And that's what I've been doing. And, I can't remember what I did last week, but, my goal is anywhere usually around 1,100 to 1,500 per week. Last week, I think I did 1,282 last week. So, I'm still producing what I need to produce as my own personal goals. So it's just I'm doing it in a different way. And I think that's our mindsets. And I think a lot of times it's hard to change mindsets and strategies from December where you can pick through everything. Right. You can, no. Okay, I'll take that one. No. Okay, I'll take that one. In January, it's like, you have to grab whatever kind of comes in. And I think that's the mindset. And I know me, I listened my standards. And I always listen my standards. Last year, people made fun of me. But you know what? Those small orders really add up at the end of the day. And that's how I'm making my money. So, I'm not opposed to taking 475 orders, 575 orders if that's what I need to do to make my money and my goal by the end of the day. So there's a couple things that, I've been doing that has really and always usually helps me through January and even February, because I would like to say it's just January. It's for my area, it's not January. So, if you're new to this.
However, people do start, I mean, we are in a recession too, but by February, even though it's still a little slowish, people are past the holiday part where maybe they've got a little more money.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, February, kind of the first commercial holiday of the year, I have to call. Well, Valentine's Day starts to come. So it gets people to be a little bit looser in their pockets. And then, once you loosen up, it's starting to tighten back up for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I started signing up, it's to me, it's right now, it's like a challenge. Like, ooh, what other apps can I sign up for that I can even add more? Like I signed up, even though Deliver That's not in my area, it's more up north. I signed up for that this week.
But you signed up for Curry.
I signed up for Curry, even
which
though on
I told her to do a year ago, by the way.
I know. I didn't think I could do it. But then I saw your $500 order and I'm like, okay, I really need to get my butt on.
She'll figure it out.
I'm like, hey guys, I'll use those muscles.
Yeah, pick up this paint, put it in my car, because I'm not doing it. I'm just driving it.
I am very strong for my size, so I'm like, I can totally do that. I have a 6-year-old. It's all good. But I signed up for Curry this week.
I heard you even say point pickup, right?
Point pickup.
I don't think there's anything left on point pickup. I don't know personally.
I've never seen anything on there.
Really?
There's point pickup in my area.
ShopRite is, which is my local grocery store. It's usually pretty decent on point pickup.
It's been a while. I haven't checked it.
I usually use point pickup when I have Walmart orders because they're kind of next to each other and they actually marry very well together because you can kind of see what's available in point pickup and might actually get you through the times that there's not round robins in Walmart Spark. But I usually do point pickup when I do Spark on the other side of town. But I even turned on Rodeo this week and
this that I just put. Yes. So Random Ryan, I've never met Random Ryan, by the way, you guys, until the Lou and Mary, the Long Island Dash Experience, have they did a members live. And I went on that and got to meet him. He's super cool, dude. He's in Texas. I won't give away his mark in case he doesn't want it to be known. If he does, he can put it in the chat. Some people might know it. I've always seen him in the chats, but I actually got to talk to him because he was just going off about Instacart again. And I happened to get into that conversation and say, zip it, dude. That platform sucks. And we had a good conversation. So in his market, the kind of numbers he was throwing at me are like literally, no joke. They're like 8 times what I see, though. I'm not kidding. Like he was telling me like Curry type orders. I'm like going, what? You're like, I never see, and mine are literally horrible. I put them up and even people who are like, they can't be that bad are like, oh my God, they are that bad.
I guess my whole entire thing for January is open your mind to new things. You never know what income is going to come from what app. The more apps you have, the more opportunities you have. And you don't want an opportunity, especially during January into February, to pass you by. Like take the orders that are coming in because you don't know. Act as though you don't know when your next order is coming. Take the orders that are in front of you.
But that's
Kim Instacart shopper will be your new name.
I'll create a channel just for that, just for you. It'll just be Kim and Instacart.
I just have a feeling that Kim she's maybe thinking about dumpling some. And if she does it, I have a feeling she might do what I'm doing.
I'm not opposed to doubling.
I mean with Instacart, I mean like
hey,
on the big orders, like, hey, I could save you a ton of money and give you better service that you could tip me so that I could afford to pay for the gas to get to your house.
Well, don't use that line, but
right, because that's mine. So you make your own up. But honestly, I mean, you're right. And also, I wouldn't say just dust off the apps. I would even say if figure out if you're dusting them off. If you're new onboarding, that's different. But if you're dusting them off, make sure you're really literally, and you don't have to do it that second. But are you really ever going to work that app? Like, look at it and think, is that even something you would do? Because if it's not, dusting it off really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
However, you should dust off everything you got, like Kim dusted off Instacart. I mean, I've been pulling mine back out too, and I really haven't had the full need for it yet, but I am going to try and make sure I activate each one too, and within a couple weeks at least get one delivery shop, whatever it is on the app, in on each app I dust off, because I think that's important too.
Yeah, I agree. And so, a story, I've been, as I mentioned, getting point pickup and restarted again. And with point pickup, I tried to log in the other day, and it said my account is blocked. And I didn't do anything with it. So basically, I'm pretty sure because of inactivity, I've had to email support and reach out to them to get my account reactivated, essentially. So dust off those apps for those reasons specifically, because you don't want to, go to something and find out that, hey, your account's no longer valid with them.
I'll be honest. I re-downloaded Instacart and I don't even know whether I'm still on Instacart, and I was. So yay!
Wait, have you ever done Instacart?
No.
I know.
So you signed up and never did a single order.
I did the last winter. I did the Instacart shipped challenge. I only did 3 Instacarts in my life, and then I ended up doing like 40 shipped, and I was like, Instacart's stupid.
If you actually look at my community post I did today, it'll actually say Kimberly since August 2020, and it says 0 batches.
No batch. Did you complete the training? You might have to get retrained. Maybe an Instacart.
See, okay, look at this is Ryan and his market talking about Instacart, because again, this is all Ryan works is Instacart. I have never seen, when you say that you thought it was 2680, I've never seen a 2680 batch. I've definitely never seen 268.
I'm trying to think of any content creators that are doing Instacart. And I know the ones who seem like they make money are in the DMV area. And I think in Texas, isn't Gig Life in Texas? Yeah. I know he does a lot of content in Instacart.
No, well, so is Ryan.
It's a giant state, but I'm just thinking everyone else is kind of suffering in terms of really bad batches, but I'm wondering it just certain parts of the country are just going to work really well for.
Oh, he put it in there. Yeah. So Ryan's in Austin.
I think that's what Gig Life.
I think he is too.
Yeah. So move to Texas.
I did see that Gig Life just started DoorDash.
Yeah,
all this time I was like, what the heck?
It's the first day.
I
I'm
guess
like,
I just figured he did it, but
he's a shop. Yeah, I think he does most of the shopping apps.
Yeah. So, but that's interesting because I also did some DoorDash trying to help out the para team, and wow, you guys,
for science.
Oh my God, the worst results though. Like some people were going, I bet watch, you're gonna get all these unicorns, you're gonna get all kinds of money, and watch, Steve's gonna make all this money on DoorDash. I turned that thing on. I saw the same thing I remembered 10, 11 months ago when I had it on there for testing.
The phone was listening to you, Steve, talking crap about it. So
pure trash. It probably doesn't like me using my para email either. That's what David did, and they did end up deactivating David, but it wasn't for the email. But I think it's funny that we use those. And I was dashing with my para hat on, just in case I ran into another dasher who'd say, "Wait, para?" I'd be like, "Yeah."
Do you not
I'm not doing this to make money, man. I'm doing this to help you guys make money because there's no money to be made right now. So let me test.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So I mean, like I said, Hannibal's earnings for Rover looked sick. Even with your answers, I was a little curious on what happened with PayPal, only because I'm interested in the PayPal method right now.
They out of sometime last year they said move to something else because we're no longer integrating with PayPal, because that's when I started using Rover. I got a PayPal account, turned to a business account, and it's connected. For some reason they decided not to use PayPal anymore. I never,
probably because they're processing. I mean, is it cheaper to do it through Rover?
It seemed like it worked really well. And then I wound up just getting another business account to connect it with it. But yeah, that was right. It was like, hey, change it at this time or you're going to have some issues with the getting paid. So that's when I switched over.
I was looking at Rover for the longest time, and then the weed. My poor daughter has severe allergies to dogs, and I'm like, oh, there goes Rover.
Yeah, there goes. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, even if you walk dogs, it's not. Yeah, you're gonna come home with hair and stuff like that. So
no, I'm like, Rover's out of it.
Yeah.
Nice. Like to hear that. To hear that. I was just talking to Jimmy today, who's still stuck in Hagerstown.
Hey, how's that experience going for them? I guess you'll talk about it.
It's just him. It's just him there. David wasn't able to make it, so that's maybe made it worse. I don't know. He hasn't said. Jimmy's the nicest guy in the world. I could stab him with a knife.
Yeah, he's super
say something bad, but he just wouldn't. He would just sit there and go, "You have a nice smile." I'd be like, "Shut up, dude. Say something mean." He just wouldn't.
He's a super sweet guy. I mean, we hung out for the conference. He made sure everyone had a seat, even though we said, "Jimmy, sit down. We're good." He's like, "No, you're good. You get a seat." He was grabbing seats out of anywhere, chairs out of anywhere. So super sweet guy.
Yeah, he is, and so he's making the best of it. He's kind of broke down the town to me. Here's the main thing he said. So we had that talk about, hey, would you do flex, like Amazon Flex type block work for $22 an hour in your market? On a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, heck no. Maybe on a Tuesday morning, but I try and do creative stuff on Tuesdays. So, I mean, I don't know. The way I said it is in Denver, no, I wouldn't. But we were doing around the Para Presents thing, and we all had different opinions. And some people said yes. He said he has like 90% of the gig market in Hagerstown, Pennsylvania is willing to do $22 an hour blocks all day long, and they would do their whole week based on it. That's a good amount of money for them. Now, the cost of living, like my house or like a 2-bedroom apartment in Hagerstown for a place under, Amley apartments are all over the country. In case you move, you can have a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, year, 3-year, 5-year lease. And then if you move city to city because of your company, you can transfer your lease to the next Amley. Mm-hmm. So they actually had one in Hagerstown. And then they have 2 here in Denver. So I took the cheaper of the 2 in Denver. A 2-bedroom or a studio through 3-bedroom in Hagerstown was $1,200 to $1,700. A studio through a 3-bedroom here in Denver was $2,700 to $4,200.
Ooh.
So yeah, maybe $22 an hour makes a lot more sense in a town where you're paying a third as much just on the housing. That's not even cost of living. That's just housing.
Housing is the majority.
Right after college, I lived in Pennsylvania for a couple of months, and it is a quarter of a fraction of living in New Jersey. So, I think it just varies based off of cost of living and the area. That $22 where the cost of living is low will seem like, wow, that's amazing. I'm going to, I'll take the $22. And then, you have someone like Hannibal who, who lives in New York, and you're like $22. I can't survive it. So I think it really depends on the area that you live in, the region you work in, and whether it would work for you individually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And so I guess now I'll present the question again. I think we might have talked about it, but I mean, Kim, would you take 20 hours a week at $22 an hour just for January?
Just for January?
Just for the rest of this month, would you do 20 hours at that?
No,
and if you could select the time blocks and when they were?
No, because I'm still doing more now than $22 an hour. So it would have to be more than what I'm currently averaging.
Right. Again, that's how I am too in Denver. And that would be too hard to lock in. The way I looked at it too was a 4-hour block. So $88. Yeah, maybe a couple of those hours I might come out okay with the 22.
It would have to depend on what time
I could lose a lot. I could lose a lot of money.
If it was late night, where most of the time I'm not making really making any money. If it's later in the night, not weekend nights, but like on a random, like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can go out for a few hours, know exactly how much I'm getting paid. I don't have to just wait on anything. I'm just getting it done. I could see that working.
So and this is a test. This is no night work though either. This is a test that at 7 p.m. Eastern, all the orders have to be done because they're all pharmacy deliveries.
Oh,
it's a certain pharmacy in Hagerstown that is working with only para.
I can see it if it's early in the morning before.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so yeah,
food delivery
yeah.
kicks in maybe, and that way people get their prescriptions even before making this up 10 a.m. Because I know for me, food delivery in the mornings, at least in my area, it's
Kim, would you do 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday for the rest of January at
if
22
my daughter
an hour?
wasn't in school? Maybe.
Okay, if your daughter wasn't in school.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get down to the nitty gritty of the number.
Yeah, if my daughter wasn't in school and I could actually leave the house at 6 o'clock, if I work 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, done by 10 o'clock.
I would assume a lot of pharmacy deliveries are done in the morning. Because I'm thinking
I've done some pharmacy and I've done some.
Yeah,
they're usually in the morning
these are
and early
but think of this as like,
10
but think of this as like,
p.m.
because I did them through Ship too, John. But think of it more like Amazon Flex, but only pharmacy deliveries.
See, I wouldn't mind that. I really wouldn't.
No, if
it's
it was
just
first thing in the
medication.
morning, I wouldn't.
There's no greasy food. I don't smell that crap in my car. Just
be
nice.
And say if it was during peak time when I'm making the bulk of my money, so lunchtime, dinner time, that 3-hour window, both lunch and dinner, I would say
probably not.
No, I can make more money doing what I'm doing, but if it's during the times.
Now let's say a different perspective. If I was a new gig worker, because think about the other thing is we're more experienced gig workers. We kind of know how to work the apps, how to multi-app, how to make that 25 plus more consistently. Now, when I think back to when I was a new gig worker and I was really $15 an hour, $20 an hour was great to me. Then I would probably take that in a heartbeat when I was a new gig worker. So I think maybe the target audience being newer gig workers would be more successful for that.
I see a lot of chat people. I see Josh B, who's been doing good on Curry lately. He's saying he'd do 6 to 10, and he's in Pennsylvania too, but he's in Philly, and Philly's not cheap. Yeah. So even though the rest of Pennsylvania might be cheaper, Philly isn't cheap. So, I actually don't know that as much as I think I do. I just am imagining that they're like most NFL cities. It's not going to be cheap.
We got also look at what exactly you're asking to do. So, $22 an hour doing food delivery is probably different than $22 doing grocery shopping, or $22 an hour delivering pharmaceutical. There are a little bit. One is a little easier than the others, right? Like doing Instacart for $22 an hour may be a bit of it could be difficult in terms of what's getting shopped and delivered, but it really depends on what exactly you're doing.
And I think the other thing, if I think about it, because you mentioned kind of like you said, as an Amazon Flex block, so you're picking it up, and then it's not a start and stop. It's just one continuous drop. Well, it's start and stop in the sense that you're stopping at the houses you're dropping off at. But outside of that, you're not going to restaurant to house. You're on a route going around pretty much a loop or a designated path, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
I think it'd be equivalent, and John, you would know this with I'm thinking about it's almost equivalent to doing a batch order on Spark.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
They give you 12 stops. It might take you 2 hours, but they're paying you $40 to $50. So it's just a longer period of time, but same concept.
Vince Sanity had his perspective on pharmacy delivery a little earlier in the comment. He said that pharmacy delivery through an actual W-2 pharmacy is very stressful. I've done it. You have to remember clients' complaints. Bilingual is a must, and a lot of sketchy customers. I can see that.
I can see that
some
too.
days
that's
a
a
lot of
conversation
problems.
I've been having with Jimmy is that, hey man, where do we stand on being bonded? And so I'd like to know from you, Vinsanity, is were you bonded? Were you bonded to do this work?
Some are elderly.
I'm imagining somehow through the W-2 you were, and that's another thing. When John and I, let's say, have done, and I know others are doing it too, but let's say we did shipped pharmacy deliveries. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's one of those things. I actually got curious. I don't really know where I stand with this. I mean, the company can tell me. A lot of people fall subject to this. Well, they wouldn't offer it if it wasn't okay. Yeah, they would.
Yeah, they would, and then they'll
they would. That's what do you think we are?
Pay
We're
for the final after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking for the people who just put the pharmacy offers out there. Let's see what happens.
They'll ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah, I don't know where I stood. I mean, honestly, I was driving around literally with drugs in my car. So
I can see both points of it's just you delivering something to somebody. But yeah, like you said, it depends on the cargo and you're responsible for it. And like I said, while the client says it was 30 pills supposed to be in here, it's 28 in here. What happened? You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of things that can happen. But I would still try it. What the hell?
Yeah.
So when I had all that tooth work done, my doctor was going to call me in a script for Vicodin, and
Nice.
then he realized he couldn't call it in. That one has to be a written script, and he's in Boulder. I'm in Denver. He had that sent down to me, written script via Rodeo, and they didn't even knock on my door. They just left it at the front door under the mat.
That's great. That's awesome.
So here I am looking at this, that he's Vinsanity saying some elderly might refuse to sign for the deliveries. Rodeo's just throwing Vicodin prescriptions under a mat.
Yeah.
It's
so
funny because
some guy tweaking could have grabbed that. And
Yeah,
now he would have had a
exactly.
great day.
I actually almost took a Rodeo order today, and I am like, no, I don't think I have enough time to do it. It was 3 drops for, I think it was like $18 or maybe it was $24. I think it was like 16 miles. I just wanted to do it just to see what it was, but it was scripts. It was actually literally dropping scripts off. So
Yeah.
I'll still do that rather than Uber Connect. Hey, pick up this random thing from over there.
At least one is guaranteed legal. The other one is who knows.
Who knows what
I saw Nova Dasher in here earlier, and he was on the Para Presents this week, and he was the first person that I know who's done a DoorDash package delivery.
Oh, yeah, he had a video on that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. He said he made $7, but $4 was a tip. But that's got weird, too,
That's
because...
yeah.
You know, we got into the whole thing about like, dude, you know, he's like, he had to go into the USPS and have it scanned. I was like, you couldn't just drop it in the box. He's like,
That's fine.
no, you had to have a picture with the receipt. And so I'm thinking,
You have to stand in line?
here we go, Uber Connect, shipping cocaine. Like, and he even said, like, they asked me, you know, is there anything flammable in this box? I don't know. I have no idea.
I truly don't know. DoorDash said no.
Oh wait, he's correcting me.
720.
Sorry, Nova.
What happens if you get pulled over by the cops and they start to search your car and they're like, "What is this?"
Right, and you're like, "Don't worry, I'm with DoorDash."
You're not gonna.
First of all, the cop's gonna laugh. Second of all, he's still gonna follow through on whatever he's doing. You talking is just making it worse, and saying DoorDash is definitely going to make it worse.
No, but can you imagine if you called DoorDash support and say, can you talk to the officer and say that blank? And DoorDash is just like, no.
No. You're on your own.
That's not in our procedure or something like that.
So I see here that Surprise Nova did that. Well, I will say this, as our conversation went a little farther this week, he did say that it was the right area at the right time. He just wanted to try it. He did happen to say that he didn't think in most areas he would just be grabbing these. Yeah. Although his overall view was, hey, it wasn't that bad. But I would still say, you know, again, I don't know how protected we are doing that stuff. I don't think DoorDash knows. I don't think they care.
So you would suggest gig workers not to take those orders? Yeah,
man. It's like I think of it like no different than Uber Connect. It is Uber Connect.
But yeah, same thing.
I mean, people can give you, you know, up to 30 pounds and what's in it? None of your business. Just here's $3. Risk your life. Like, you know, I mean, you know, that could be the new way that like people bomb post office. $3.
That will be I
probably just gave an idea.
Then you just gave someone an idea there, Steve.
Jesus.
Well, hopefully nobody's in this or watching this that would want to do that.
I think they'll even chat GPT.
But I do want to say this. So I do want to say about my Curry Monday. I had a lot of people ask me. I had a few people from the audio podcast side of things who are the nicest people on earth. There's no YouTube drama in that realm. It's funny. They email me a lot though. And they were emailing me about my Curry breakdown. They weren't loving it. And I got to say, I was like loving it. Like, not only was I like, well, I mean, like I was in love with this day. So here's how my day went. I picked up my first 2. I stacked 2 out of a Sherman-Williams Center to pick up just about for a little over 400 pounds of paint. So one was about 300, one was about 100. They were going to the same development area. They ended up being like two houses apart. But I got to the location, picked up both orders, got them to where they're going. Everything to do all of that paid me $58 and $56. So I was at $114.90. Okay. And then I was kind of down south Denver, and I had a $23 4-mile hot shot that took me into downtown. As I was coming back to my house, because I wasn't sure I was going to stay out at that time, I saw $45 for 8 miles from near my house for 2 boxes of plumbing fixtures. So I'm like, I'll do those too, no problem. And then while I was on that one, the offer that the big one came through. It came through at like $480 or $490, and I was like, ooh, I would take that. But I was on one, and because it's long, I knew they wouldn't let me grab it. So I tried, and they didn't let me. But then I was like, yeah, maybe I'd wait anyway. And then I saw it come through at $550, and I was like, oh, somebody's gonna grab this. And so I was almost to the place. It's the second I dropped off, I went out to the car and I hit it. It was still up there. I grabbed it. So I got a $550 order to take 192 pounds of paint from Colorado Springs to Denver. I live in Denver, so I had to drive empty the whole distance there. And I will say that because I was doing that, that's one of those situations I called Curry ahead of time. I accepted this. I don't want to make this drive unless I am confirmed. I'm always confirmed and I don't do this kind of thing. But for this, I said, am I confirmed to have this? And this is where it's nice to deal with the Curry team, because they're like, yeah, we got you. This is you. And so I said, cool, because then I won't be there for 4 hours. But they can track you in real time. I said, you can track me. I'm on my way. But so I kept that. So that was 230 miles each way. So a total of 460 miles, 190 pounds of paint, $550. So in 11 and a half hours that day, leaving my house to back to my house with only minor breaks, $732. Now, I've had some people questioning it because of the miles. Obviously, the number is skyrockets, and you can't even talk about the earnings. But some people have said, well, man, you put the 460 miles on plus whatever you did local, which was probably another 100 miles, I'll be honest, or 80 or whatever it is, So let's, say it's 550. Okay, so that's $1 a mile, or that's that'd be $1 a mile if I just on the one last order, and on the other ones you wouldn't be including miles, kind of thing. So overall for the day, yes, I had to skew because here in town, local Denver stuff, I'm looking for $3 to $7 a mile on Curry. For anything 5 to 12 miles, I'm looking for $3 to $7, especially if I'm carrying 200 pounds or more. That's just what I'm looking for. But that day is now, I was saying this before we started, I think it's the best day I've had in a year. And in no way do I view that day as like, gosh, maybe I shouldn't have. That was a lot of miles or anything like that. I view that day as that was gold. That's the kind of day that everybody should be looking for, I would think. I don't know, maybe.
Dashing Grandpa had a great one. He said, I'd rather run 300 miles on the highway than 150 in town. And I think that's miles are not the same. And I think UDM may have said this a long time ago. The idea of, okay, even if you have a day where the miles to the dollars to mile ratio is not as high as you want it, that is just one day. Mm-hmm. You have the whole week or the whole month or the whole year where it will balance out throughout the other orders that you pick, if you pick the best orders in the right distance and stuff like that. So you had a fantastic day, Steve, and it seemed like you didn't even had a bad working experience going through what you had to go through for 11 hours. You didn't mention it, so I'm assuming everything worked out.
I was listening to podcasts, to my music, driving through the mountains.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, everyone's experience is different on what their ideal day is for gig work, right. But that seemed pretty good to me. So
yeah, I thought it was stellar. So those miles, I mean, yeah, they add up. But I mean, we're doing gig work, guys. Like we were just quickly talking about risk assessment. I mean, you got to do the risk assessment of driving around the city. It's way worse driving around the city than it is on the highway.
Well, I would say too, the point of gig work is to make the most amount of dollars, not drive the least amount of miles.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Good point.
I've never met $700 that I've never needed, or a bill payer that says, "Don't give me that $700." So
Yeah.
that's
You
a
take that
reality
back.
check
It
for
took
you.
you too long to get. It took long to drive to get that kind of money. I don't know. I don't want it. It's like
Right,
it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
I mean, maybe that's part of it too. Maybe people don't like those, and that's something we were bringing up. Is that a lot of people who do delivery? Maybe you don't have a car that's in the best shape, or whatever. But I did a lot of rideshare prior to this, so I mean, the rideshare standards for a car are much higher than they are to be on delivery platforms. So, but even that, I would think, like, man, as long as your car can make it, you do that. You do
Yeah.
that. You do that job.
Yeah.
I mean, if your car is almost on the edge and you think might make it, that might be your down payment for the next car.
Yeah, or I mean, I don't know. That's the kind of thing where you call a friend, you borrow a car, you rent a car, you do whatever you need to do. You get this done, man. There's too much money involved.
Yeah.
If you rent a car, I'm pretty sure you're still turning a profit too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And
so,
it's funny,
I mean,
and before we finish, remember it was when I first started doing this, and looking online and looking at some of the videos, it was like, make sure you get $1 a mile, and that turned into $2, and now it's $3. And if someone you show someone, hey, look at this really good offer, it's like, yeah, but that's not $3 to $4 a mile. I was like, well, it's still pretty good dollars, isn't it? No, highway. Yeah. They're like, nah, man, I'll only take it if it was $1,200. Then maybe it would make sense. It's like, you can't please everybody.
But also, what does that say too? I mean, like, you're declining 190 DoorDash offers to take 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so a lot of your days just spent going, no, or else you have Maximo or whatever, or, I mean, or DUH. But nonetheless, like, a lot of your day is just looking at crappy offers and saying no.
Yeah.
So,
I think Hannibal said something that made me realize, or at least that much more experienced gig workers that were like, back in my day, $1 per mile.
Yeah, back in 3 years ago, like it's so long ago.
But now it's going down. Yeah. Usually you tell that story about, it's like somebody be like, I make $6 now. Back in my day, it was like a nickel. Like now, back in our day, it was a lot of money. Now we're talking about a nickel.
Back in my day, it was $340. Now we're like $150. We're like, hey man, good luck.
We're going in the wrong direction.
In the world we live in, if you want to make money in the gig world, you're gonna have to put miles on your car. There is just no getting around putting miles on the car if you want to make a decent amount of money. And in your case, $700 in 11 hours.
Yeah. I mean, no way I was going to pass it up. And I do want to show everybody this too, real quick, because even here on YouTube, I was getting a lot of questions about, because last week we discussed Dumpling a little, and Gary was like, I think Steve's is free. Yeah. So here's what it is, guys. So these are the three ways you can do Dumpling. So as you can see, here's the main difference between, so put Tycoon out for a minute. That might be for you, but that's 5 cards. You can have people working for you. But the starter and the pro, the real differences is with pro, you get 2 cards. So like if I wanted Marissa to cover the Boulder market for me and I'm going to do Denver, yeah, okay, we would do that. There's also, once you have enough clients, and I think they say once you're doing more than 5 orders a month, it pays itself off to move out of starter to pro. Right now, I'm in starter. I did pro for a couple months. I did a lot of the university stuff, but I've moved back to starter because the only real difference here is, so they say the 5% platform fee that applies to groceries. That's the customer pays that. That's the only thing the customer pays to Dumpling. That's not you, and that's the same on both. So the only real difference becomes the 3.9% of the total you receive, as opposed to 2.7 if you're with the pro.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, starting and trying to build this, I'm okay with the starter. And as you can see, this is what people thought wasn't the case. As you can see, the starter is free. You can be with the starter as long as you want. Yeah. You're just going to pay 3.9%. Not
2.7.
2.7. That's it.
Yeah,
I think
and by the
dumpling
time
is
you're on
another
pro,
option.
you have somewhat of a client base. You are you're having regular work done out there. So that's a great way to start. Like you really can't. There's no excuse not to try it. There isn't.
Right. That's what I was trying to point out because people were going. There was some people who I think had looked into dumpling. They're like, there's not a free one. There is a free one. It does default into that. So when you sign up, it's going to put you as 90 days for free, but then it's going to put you in that first pro level. And so you might, after 90 days, start seeing a charge and think, wait a minute, dumpling charges. Well, you just need to remember after the 30 days or during it to switch out and go to free.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I would say to everybody, this is that time. Try dumpling. Try it. I know Hannibal and I, while we wrap this up, I'll say this: Hannibal and I are doing a thing on dumpling for Beyond the Algorithm next week. So join us there because I'm going to bring my stuff, and then I'm doing a thing once a month with Holly too, starting the week after, where we're going to do some dumpling stuff because Holly brings in some bank orders. Like I've looked at hers, and she's making a lot, but I just also saw she defaults her tips to 18% and she charges 20% of the groceries. So she's at 38. I've kept in that 25 number. So I'll have to pick her brain a bit, but yeah, I mean, it's big order stuff you're looking for, but so yeah, we got that going on. I know that John and Hannibal have a Spark thing tomorrow, right?
Yes,
tomorrow?
We do.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Spark tomorrow at 6 Eastern. John is the Spark expert right now. I'm still waiting to get on Spark, so I would like to pick his brain on, shout out to that Zoolander movie. Amazon Spark is so hot right now. Everyone keeps talking about it. Everyone's making his money. So I was like, let me ask. John is making some really good videos on Spark, and I want to know, how is it and what's going to be going on in the next couple of months. So we definitely have a good conversation. And I think the Walmart family owns the Broncos. I think.
Yes.
I think they just bought that team. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like to ask him his thoughts on Russell Wilson as well. So we'll see, maybe he should be a Spark driver. I don't know. I mean, quarterbacking seems to be a problem, but we're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow.
He might be a Spark driver sooner than we realize.
Yeah. I mean, just out of curiosity, I know it's not going to be this simple, John, but is it going to, by the time Hannibal's off the list, it can be worth it?
Right?
If it grows, I mean,
I don't want to spoil or anything for tomorrow. I'm just curious.
I think there's an opportunity.
Because I'm in the same boat. I never did Spark because I just knew there's going to be some burnout there, and I was afraid that I was working my apps. I was like, I don't want to onboard to Spark right now because everybody's doing it and saying how great it is in the earnings, but I was doing that good still with Curry, and I didn't want to start getting psyched on Spark, move away from Curry, and Curry's definitely an app. The more you do, the more you see.
Are you believing in Jinx? You didn't want to jinx it, Steve?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is based on performance. It's not like a daily thing, but it's like, is he, I was able to find this out for somebody who told me I got deactivated from Curry. I said, no, you didn't. Because the way they said it. So what it ended up happening, and this is true, is if you leave your Curry active, but you don't take any curries for 90 days, they temporarily deactivate. What that means is you have 90 days after. So if in that 90 days you don't take anything, then you have 90 days after that to call them and be reactivated that day. So it's not even like they're punishing you. They're just like, we're going to quit sending you offers because you're not taking anything. And then they just want you to call and make sure that you're even still interested, that you didn't move to a W-2 or something else. Because, again, Curry makes money. None of these other gig companies make money. They make money because they're not sending out as much data. They're making sure that the people on there want to work. Mm-hmm. So it's not about so if people are thinking they get you to take crappy orders. No, they just want to make sure that you're worth sending data to. Yeah. I mean, why? And again, if I owned the company, I might be like that too. Why would I want to send data to 10 million? Look at the DoorDash people. Most of them, Marco said he gets 200 orders in a day and does 14, 15. Okay. So if he's getting 200 offers a day, that's horrible. That's 5% he's accepting. That's, the wasted data there is just amazing. And the fact that the artificial intelligence doesn't learn from it and say, he doesn't like these orders. Quit giving them to him. It's just like they just constantly will keep pumping them through. So, but I know you got that going on, and Kim, you are onboarding to everything. So I want to know what is gonna like. I mean, are you gonna start to? Do you think you're gonna start to work the other apps you're onboarding to now?
Yeah,
Or I mean, are you seeing offers already, and are you?
I'm starting to see offers already. Like I said, like every morning I literally have been turning like everything on. Like hashtag turn it all on. I turned on Instacart this morning. I turned on point pickup this morning. Rodeo, it's always on. It's just a matter of looking at the map. Like just literally looking at the opportunities and taking the best ones that are right in front of my face. So yeah, I'm not, like I said, I equal opportunity app worker. Take the best offer, take what's in front of you, and make your money.
So Christopher Taylor just put something in there that maybe we can talk about. Maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow. Yep.
All right. We will 6 p.m.
Because now you're talking about John's. You're not Glendale though.
Well, that's close enough. I'm
pretty close.
Not Glendale, but no more than 10 miles away from Glendale.
And Vinsanity, I could give a crap about the Broncos. I'm a Detroit fan through and through. I don't like any Colorado teams. So.
Yeah, Lions look pretty good they're down in the playoffs, but they may be in the playoffs next season. So
yeah, I mean,
shout out to the Lions.
And then I saw this too from Ryan. Let us know when they IPO. The funny thing about this, I just read an article, so we know that Instacart's not worth crap anymore. And I know you love that, Ryan. Not that they're not worth crap, but it's your favorite app. But they're worth $10 million now, which is like nothing. And I just saw yesterday that Lyft is at $5 billion valuation. And Lyft is not expected to, unless something changes, to make it to June.
Till June, so that's last year.
So this is literally the end of Lyft, unless something happens. I saw it written. It's written up everywhere. You guys don't. I don't even have a specific article. You can go to Rideshare Rodeo and find one.com, but you can also just Google it. Just Google Lyft and news, and you'll see that they're not doing well at all.
Now I wonder if there's going to be some big other company bails them out, buys them. Time will tell.
Right? It's just he just thinks I'm just going to douse Instacart. I'm trying to be nice here, man. Like, it's they have a chance. They have twice the chance Lyft does. Maybe the two. We've said this before. Maybe the two of them could merge and figure something out.
You got the Giants and the Eagles in the playoffs.
I'm yelling at Nova Dasher about sports. Anyway.
Give us a year or two. Arizona Cardinals will get there one day again. We'll be back.
Maybe. We'll see about that.
Yeah. So, no, I'm a Steelers fan, so we'll be back. We'll be back before the Cardinals be back, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like Nova, I gotta speak on this, and I'm way more into NHL and baseball. That's my thing, but I've been waiting for something with the Lions since Barry. I remember the radio station that got shut down in Detroit because they offered, what was the offer? $5,000 for a picture of Wayne Fonts tied up on the hood of your car. That was during the Barry Sanders era, and this was an actual radio station. They were willing to pay $5,000 for a picture if you tied Wayne Fonts up on the hood of your car. And they got arrested and shut down because they took it as like as a threat. And I thought it was pretty funny, man.
But I tell you, they're a pretty good team. They made some strides. So I think next season pay some attention to the Giants. I mean the Giants. Well, them too. The Lions. They were pretty good. Pretty good team.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading Josh's comment. Just made me laugh.
Oh, I see. Oh,
that's actually a fact.
Yeah, I don't think anyone here is Cowboys fans, so we're good.
Actually, I think Thomas is.
Oh, sorry, Thomas.
Well, at least you'll get one.
I'm a Cowboys fan. I love the Cowboys, so I can't really say that.
What?
Wait, you and Thomas live in New Jersey.
I know. I've always been a Cowboys fan. My husband's a Cowboys fan. I feel like I'm
Is
a
there
fan
something
by
New
default.
Jersey people like the
This
Cowboys?
changes
They were
everything.
America's
Like
team.
what?
I know.
Cowboys.
I'm not opposed to the Giants. Don't get me wrong, because
They
they're
play
local,
in Jersey.
But, I know, but I'm still a Dallas
This
Cowboys
changes
fan.
everything. Oh my god. I have no code. Wait, what? Steve has no code. Because, I mean, I know what she's talking about. But yeah, I am friends with Joel. But what? I got a code. Like of ethics?
No, for part of the sign up code for dumplings.
Oh. Actually,
Code of
in
ethics,
the
that's where you went to.
in the show notes there are. I don't know if it's updated, but it does something for you. It's like you get
Yeah.
$200 or $300 back if you just put in like Rodeo 2022. As far as I know, it'll still work too. I know it's last year, but if you sign up with that link, it'll do that. And then I also saw that what's up, Joe? Saw you were in here.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Let's play DoorDash.
Yeah, so Kim, what else do you have going on? I'm sure because now Kim's whole content is gonna change.
Who knows?
Or it could. It could be like a point
Dun.
pickup, like Instacart day.
I'm gonna keep everybody on their toes. You never know what's gonna be coming out of my channel. I will say that hopefully I've been giving informational stuff out as like I'm trying to get information out as soon as it happens. I've been trying to get the information out, so that way it's not waiting for me to edit a whole video and then getting out. Like I'm really trying to get it out as quickly as it happens. So that's kind of where I'm going so far. And hey, you never know. What's coming next? I'll keep you guys on your toes and guessing.
So
but
yeah,
I have a
guys,
lot of other stuff going on too. Like there's.
Oh my god! I know you always do. I'm just expecting it to change now. I am. I think you're going to be doing other things. I mean, in a good way. I think you're going to be doing other things, and it might be bad. I mean, some of it. You might learn. Oh my god, what is this?
Yeah, I
can't believe I tried this again, but it might be better than some of the other ones in January. Who knows that most people just didn't leave point pickup behind, and now you'll be like the only person doing it.
Yeah, you never know. Like I said, you never know what's going to be coming. I'll always say the one thing you can always predict is these apps are unpredictable. You never know what's going to produce. Like I can say that I had a fantastic DoorDash day, but the next day I might have a good Instacart day. I can't believe that came out of my mouth, but I might have a good Instacart day. You really never know how these apps are going to give you. Maybe all the stars will be aligned at some point, and you never know. You never know what's coming. But besides this, I feel like I'm always busy and I'm always going, and there's always something going on.
Yeah,
Kim, you're the next Pedro.
That is a very big compliment, so thank you.
Just don't forget to take a break every once in a while.
I don't know what that is.
It's nice to see the Drivens in here too. I want to see Kim do
Lisa.
Rideshare. You don't want to, Lisa. You don't want to see Kim do Rideshare though because she's not comfortable with it. So nobody'd want to, because who wants? And again, as a passenger, even who wants an uncomfortable driver? I don't. I've had enough of them.
I am trying to broaden my horizons. I always say never say never. It's just Rideshare has never been. I mean, just like Instacart, but Rideshare is just never really in my comfort zone yet.
I like this. He's laughing. This is weird. I've been so busy on Thursdays. It's been forever since I've seen you guys laugh. We're still here, man.
We're still here.
We haven't gone anywhere. Well, I have perfect attendance.
Yeah, Kim is.
I know.
Kim is
I think I started a new year by calling out. I said, "Steve, I can't make it."
Like people get a new year. I got my PTO back. I'm calling out.
I mean, first of all, we all have those kind of days, except for Kim, clearly. But Hannibal's was a good excuse too, because his kid's birthday was the next day.
Yeah, we were sitting here arguing about cupcakes. That's trying to set that whole thing up.
Imagine he's on here and he's like, "Cupcakes aren't done," and Hannibal's sitting there having a good time. It's not a good look.
Did you watch any of the live stream from last week?
No, was it bad? I saw you guys, but I wasn't listening.
There was an article that I didn't know if we had time to really dive into, but I was also hoping you were going to be here because you've talked about things like, depression and losing people close to you, suicide, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I had an article, and I said, let's wait for the basket case to come back.
Wait, what? How dare you? I've been mostly really centered around you.
I was like, I didn't mean that like that. I just meant like Hannibal he's talked about this kind of stuff. So.
Right.
And we're like, sure you did.
Sure. Steve, this is how you think of me.
No, Kim was like, that's what you get when you don't show up.
Fair enough.
Defend yourself.
All right. I think I'll be here next week though.
But that's why I came clean. I just said it because there was actually a meaning behind it. It was one of those instantly everybody in the chat took it the wrong way. And
he had to clean that up. It's okay. We're still friends, Steve.
For today. No, I'm just kidding.
So yeah, I guess Kim, you got on Fridays. You drop your video. You've got your live next Tuesday, and your normal week. These guys got something going tomorrow. That's not a normal thing that you guys should check out for sure. I'm interested. I want to see what they talk about with Spark because I like Hannibal said, I know he has a lot of experience with Spark, and I'm interested to hear. I want to pop some questions in there too about longevity with it because I still have seen Thomas in this chat. It was much earlier, but he was still saying he said something along the lines of Spark is still fire. When I was saying is Spark still doing well for people?
So I think it's going to be market dependent.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, okay, so we have Brandon in here too, who's or Dashing Grandpa. There he is. Who's said that Spark is. He's kind of been like where I've been thinking, like Spark's dying out a bit. Not just market dependent, but kind of everywhere it's dying out a bit. I mean, every places I talk to and what I'm sure there's still good places, but I don't know. I'm interested. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it on a cliffhanger because I want to see what you guys talk about because I think
Spark's going to be dependent this year. If, like last year, I think it was the summer, they rolled out how many hundreds of new stores to Spark. Not every Walmart is on Spark. So if they roll out more Walmarts on Spark, I think that's going to be dependent on their growth and how they grow as a Spark company.
Yeah, I got some interesting stuff coming. Well, I'll save it for tomorrow, but I'm planning a video. And let's say I got some insider information. We'll just leave it at that.
Oh,
yeah. Ooh. See?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Spark keeps, what does Tony say here? Spark keeps taking money away. But we don't do Spark. We're all in Denver, though, Tony. And
I feel like Brandon said something. Dash and Grandpa said something similar.
Yeah. Well, Tony used to be a manager of a Walmart here in Denver.
Interesting.
So he has some real insight on this.
Get another inside man.
But I don't think he's a lover of Walmart. I think it was a bad experience, and I
don't know if I've ever met a former Walmart employee that had a lot of great things to say about Walmart.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess, guys. Does anybody else have any last minute things, or are we wrapping it up here?
I think we got to wrap it up. I've got a little music going on.
Yeah, right. I got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a wrap, you guys. Thanks for joining us. As always, you can email me at steve@ridesharerodeo.com. You can reach any of these guys. All their channels are in the show notes. Most of you guys I know are familiar with all of their channels, but make sure you're subscribed to everybody. And be safe, earn smart, have a great weekend, and we will see you back here next Thursday, if not before. Peace.